I'm Amy, sex educator, somatic sex and relationship coach, and sex shop owner.
And I'm April, VP of an international high-end pleasure products company and boss queen sex toy mogul. We're best friends who make our own rules about who we are as sexual beings.
With everything from how to be a badass in the bedroom to top tips for bringing your relationship to the next level, we have something just for you.
So sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Don't forget to head on over to our website at shamelesssex.com for more. And for 15% off of some of our favorite sex toys, use coupon code SHAMELESSPP in all caps at purepleasureshop.com. Hello, everyone.
Hi, everybody.
Welcome back to the Shameless Sex Podcast.
We love you. Yeah.
We love you so much. Guess what, everyone? We just filmed our online 4-week erotic empowerment series. This one is geared towards female-identified folks. It's not out yet, but I just want to let you know, put that on your radar. It's going to be online, and you have the ability to work with us in an online 4-week series to up your erotic game. So look out for that. Super exciting.
It's basically like the podcast is 101. This is like the 201, 301, 401. So you're getting like advanced in empowerment.
Well, and there's videos, there's live calls, and et cetera, et cetera.
Very in depth. We'll have more info for you, but check it out because
super exciting.
Yes, it's almost ready.
So this podcast, we're going to go into in a minute. We have a couple announcements, but it's on, I don't even know what we're titling it yet, but sex when pregnancy, sex and birth, and then sex after pregnancy and birth. And with a really awesome woman who's a tantrika and a doula, and she blew my mind.
Some light bulbs went off. Yeah. For me too, for you a couple times as well.
Yeah, fascinating information.
Stuff.
So stay tuned.
You'll enjoy it. And even if you're not a mother right now, or a parent, or a person that doesn't have kids yet, but maybe thinks that could go that way someday, tune in because there's some really juicy, excellent information for you. Mm-hmm. So stay tuned. But first, can I tell you something that's really cool?
Tell me something that's really cool.
So we always talk about Margins Wine.
Wait, I want to sing. Tell me something good. Ooh. Okay, anyways, Margins Wine.
So actually, Megan, who is the Margins Wine maker, she's wonderful, has been so kind to offer a discount on some bottles. Ooh. If you are buying bottles, and she's never done this before, and was like, it's boutique wine, folks. So it's beautiful. The cost is, it's around between $19 to $25, and it's reasonably priced for the quality. But if you use the code ShamelessSex10 on her website, which is marginsy.com, you'll get 10% off when you buy 3 bottles or more. Ooh. But if you buy 6 bottles, which is a half of a case, you'll get 15%, and just use the code ShamelessSex15. I'm probably going to do that because I absolutely love it. And she's going to have some new releases. She's bottling this month, and she'll have some new releases next month. We drink it almost every single show now that I'm back on the wagon.
Yeah, she's back, everyone.
I'm back on the wagon.
Yeah, we love it. It's good.
So check it out. She, just a recap, because we are wine lovers. We do value the art of making wine, but her wine is taking underdeveloped varietals of grapes and producing from underdeveloped and represented regions and turning them into beautifully made wines. So check it out, marginswine.com, and use those codes when you want to buy wine. Why not? Save some money.
Why not? We had to do it.
I know, sorry.
I have another announcement.
Yeah.
Everyone who lives in San Francisco, Oakland, Bay Area folks, and you love Shameless Sex, April and I are teaching a workshop at the Center SF.
I really wanted to say that Tupac lyric, like when he's like East Bay. I don't remember, but yeah.
Say that again though.
No, I can't remember.
But it's not just East Bay.
And no, it's all the bays.
All the Bay.
All the Bay.
All the Bay. I don't know.
Oakland represent in the house.
Maybe you're in Sacramento and you want to come. This is a good excuse to make have a city night. Go out in the city.
Right. We're going to be there in the flesh show.
So we are teaching Thursday, August 2nd from 7:30 to 9:30 p.m. at the Center SF. And we are teaching our erotic superstar workshop. We've taught it at various festivals, and it will be different from the ones that we've taught at festivals too. But April and I will be there in the flesh teaching a live workshop. So if you want to learn more, I'm going to cough, but Maybe not. Go to Eventbrite and search. You can search Shameless Sex. You can search the Center SF. You can go to the Center SF's website as well. Although you always buy tickets through Eventbrite. And the Center SF is in San Francisco on Fillmore Street. We recommend getting tickets ahead of time. It's $20 advance, $25 at the door, and
that's a deal.
It's a deal and a steal. So we hope to see you there. It's going to be super fun, and you can learn and connect from us in the flesh live on Thursday, August 2nd from 7:30 to 9:30 p.m. Hope to see you there.
And a lot of times when you're present at these workshops, you kind of retain more information.
Oh yeah,
because you're actually there, you're present, you're in the moment, your cell phone's not ringing, your kids aren't screaming. So check us out.
Yeah, and you can learn more if you look up online. Again, go to Eventbrite and look up Shameless Sex, or you can look up Shameless Sex Presents Erotic Superstar or the Center SF to learn more about the workshop.
Check us out.
Check it. Okay, everyone, I'm going to play you some sounds.
Is this for me or everyone?
You and everyone are all together.
Okay.
It's like you.
I thought you were playing them for me, and then I was gonna have to.
I'm gonna play them for you and for everyone.
Okay.
So we talk about this in the end of the podcast because we've already recorded this podcast about how we have a clip of a birth and we have a clip of an actual orgasm, and I think that they're actually you're totally gonna know which one is which, and we just want to kind of identify or point out the fact that they're very similar. The sounds that are coming.
But do you want me to guess?
Yeah,
Can we turn this into a fun project?
Yes, I want you to guess.
I'm not gonna look.
What is which was which first? And I'm just putting my mic up to the speakers, so it's not going to sound that phenomenal.
So you're gonna play it for a couple seconds, and I'm gonna guess.
You ready?
Yes. That was me last night having an orgasm.
That was April last night having an orgasm. That's April's answer. Okay. All right. What about this one?
Could be some tantric orgasm.
Oh my God, that was
Or it could be someone having a baby.
Yeah. So you think that one's more?
But I've never heard really a lot of people having a baby because usually they're screaming.
I mean, I think the first one's pretty obviously an orgasm. Yeah. But the second one still sounds. I mean, the same noise of the ooh. Yeah. There's all the noises. Yeah. Yeah. And so, anyways, we want to highlight.
It's like kind of, that person should have been like shameless sex.
Yeah, I like that. Oh my gosh.
While they're orgasming.
That was good.
Shameless sex.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
So was I right?
Yes, you're right. The first one was orgasm. Second one was birth.
Okay.
Yes.
So birthing can be like an orgasm.
Well, and we talk about that in the podcast. There's orgasmic birth. And then there's also just the idea that sex or sexuality and being sexual and pregnancy and birth are separate things. Right. And we talk a lot about how they're not. And that's why we wanted to play this clip because it kind of highlights the fact that they sound so similar.
They're connected. There's some really juicy, really delicious information in here. So y'all get ready to have your minds blown up.
Minds blown. You're going to love it. You're going to love it.
Yeah.
So stay tuned and enjoy this episode. Are you ready, Chip? Are you ready?
I'm so listo.
Let's do it. All right, everyone. It is time for what we have promised, this wonderful episode on sex, pregnancy, and sex after birth as well.
Which is super important because a lot of folks are having kids and they want to have sex after those kids come out.
Well, and we have a lot of listeners that are also mommies.
Yeah, a lot of listeners.
Maybe some daddies.
Your sex life isn't dead after children or 60. That's what I've heard.
It's never dead.
Ever.
Disco's dead, but sex is not.
Don't say that about disco.
Disco's dead. Okay, anyways, we're going to read a little bio about our guest speaker, and then we will dive in. So, Ashley is a mother, doula, apprentice midwife, and sex coach who has been helping to guide women through the transformation from maiden to mother since she became a mother in 2013. She is a tantrika who loves coaching women into their own sensual sovereignty. God, I'm so bad at this word. Sovereignty.
Sovereignty.
Damn. Anyways.
I got you.
Thanks, Chip. Through the path of pleasure and is passionate about helping women reclaim their pelvic floor and core strength postpartum. You can find out more information about coaching with Ashley, taking a workshop, or reading more about her work on her website, AshleyShakti.com. That's AshleyShakti.com. Welcome, Ashley.
Welcome, Ashley.
Hi.
Hi.
And P.S. She's super cute, beautiful, good energy too.
She's kind of
cute.
I'm
I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah,
Yay.
she's in the flesh, so
Yeah.
we get to feel all the
She's
vibes.
real live.
Another
flesh.
magical
Yeah.
Santa Cruz human.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I know it's nice when we can actually lure people into our April's home.
Come to my home, sit on my green couch.
We're not. Yeah. Well, and she brought us strawberries for us.
I know, and they're so yummy.
Uh-huh.
Instead of wine.
Yes.
Yes. You had plenty of
We
wine.
have plenty of wine.
We are drinking some wine.
There's no problem in the wine department around here. Oh, okay. Ashley, tell us about yourself. You are doing some really, really amazingly awesome work. You have a very sensual essence to you. Like I see when you move, and there you just elude this sexuality of you in this really beautiful way. And you're a mother, and I know that these are not usually there's a social stigma around that about being a mom and being highly sexual. But tell us about your journey of where you got to where you are today.
My journey. So, let's see. I've always known that I've wanted to be a midwife since I was a little girl. And when I grew up, I got really into dancing and performance arts and just everything sensual and feminine and beautiful and wonderful and sexy. And then I got really into Tantra. And then I became a mother. And I felt like part of me died. And it was really hard. And then I developed this idea of bringing sex and motherhood together in a way to help other women reclaim their sensuality and their sensual sovereignty. That's the word.
There's the word.
Sovereignty, yeah. And here I am doing sex coaching
And
as a mom.
You mentioned before we started recording too, which I think is a really powerful statement, that you felt that after like the preschool mentality, how did you word it? You said that a lot of times.
Oh, yeah. I said like in the birth world, when you're a doula or a midwife or, even like a childbirth educator, there's kind of this stigma that you can't really be a sensual, sexual being, and you kind of have to be like a preschool teacher
Right.
and, be very conservative. And there isn't a lot of room for sensual expression when it comes to pregnancy and birth. You kind of have to, put a filter on yourself.
You're
At least-
so right. That's so right.
And so that doesn't feel authentic to me. And I know that women really benefit when they feel safe and free to express themselves when they're in labor. From what I saw working as a doula and then later as an apprentice midwife. So yeah, that's the taboo. Sex and birth.
Yeah.
Getting rid of it.
And I just want to say that Ashley sent us this video that I just showed April.
Oh, yeah.
And it was about, would you call it an orgasmic birth video?
Oh,
Or was
yeah.
this- okay,
No,
yeah.
it's totally an orgasmic birth video.
It
It was really cool.
It was badass.
And this is coming from a human that doesn't want pregnancy or birth, the birth experience. But I enjoyed watching that.
It brought tears to my eyes. And I know that most people think of birth as, or probably maybe even pregnancy. We actually just took a poll and asked a lovely gentleman that was in here what he thought about pregnancy. And he thought it was really hot.
AKA
And-
my partner.
April's
I'm just
partner.
going to out him right
Yeah,
now.
he said it's really hot. He was telling us the ideal positions to have sex.
Leg
with.
up from behind.
And
Word
then
on the
we've
street.
also have heard that some people don't find it attractive, which I think that's really hard,
Some
especially if they're the
people.
partner. Yeah, I've definitely I've heard of that, and I don't know. I mean, I feel like that. What do you think is more common?
I don't know, because it's not really talked about
Yeah.
that much, which is why I'm doing this work.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I feel when I speak with friends, my female-bodied friends that have been pregnant in the past, I always ask those questions because I'm like, how's this sex? Because
She just gets in there.
I'm a nosy little fucker. So I ask them, and I swear it's pretty much down the middle where people either are super horny or they're like, I hate my body right now.
Yeah.
I don't feel sexy. I don't want him to touch me. Like, just don't touch me. I'm like, interesting. So I guess we should talk about this more. I don't want to shit anyone, but we all, it's nice to have these conversations, safe space. So
Yeah. Well, and so that video that we watched, it was this 2-minute clip. So it was like the end of the labor, and it's from the 70s. And so it's pretty old school, and it's just the most beautiful thing. This woman is just like in her power. She's not
crowning.
screaming. Yeah, crowning. It's the head coming out of her. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's not screaming and like punching things. And, the images that we usually give, like, the hysterical woman who's in so much pain that she's miserable and angry that she's going through this process.
And she's not drugged up because I asked.
That's what they show. That's what they show in movies. It's she's angry. Why did you did this to me?
Exactly.
That whole mentality. This woman is just like holding it down. She is feeling, pleasure. She is stoked.
And her partner's there, like caressing her belly and really like catching the baby.
And catching the baby.
Yeah. Really,
and then the baby was,
really nice
and
to
she's
see.
just in joy, like pure joy. You never see any sort of like the idea that you should get like, it looks miserable. There's no misery there. So,
and Let It Grow was playing in the background. Let it grow, let it grow.
Was that playing in the background? I missed that
just
part.
in case.
Yeah. So, anyways, I want to kind of premise this podcast with that image for people who have never given birth or think of it as pregnancy and birth as what we're usually shown in media, and that there's a lot of other experiences out there that Ashley's going to share with us.
So, I just want to ask. Can you tell us about sex during pregnancy specifically? Especially, I guess, during the last trimester, because I'd imagine that is probably when it gets to be difficult, right? And what do you think our listeners should know?
Well, it's different for every trimester. So in the beginning, when you first find out you're pregnant, you might feel pretty lousy. You might have morning sickness. You have hormonal fluctuations, and you might not feel like having sex as much as you have in the past. And then the second trimester, usually women are feeling their best and they're feeling all glowy, and they don't really have a lot of those discomforts that come along with the third trimester when they're feeling bigger and heavier, and their back hurts and their feet are swollen and heartburn and all that stuff. And then the third trimester, the main issue is just getting comfortable with the positioning, because there's a big belly to contend with. And then you definitely have to get creative and communicate with your partner about what you want. And there's also some issues with, is it okay to have sex when you're pregnant? Like a lot of people are worried, like, what if there's bleeding? And it can be kind of common for there to be bleeding during sex. It's not necessarily normal, but it doesn't mean anything's wrong. The cervix is a lot more friable, which means it just has more vascularity to it. And if it gets bumped, it might bleed a little bit, and that's okay. But if there's any kind of pain or abnormal bleeding, I would definitely recommend checking in with your care provider, making sure it's still okay to have sex. And then there's also other issues that might come along. But for the majority of women, they're having healthy, low-risk pregnancies. And sex is something that's good for you. It increases the bonding between you and your partner. It increases oxytocin, and orgasms tone the uterus to prepare for labor.
Oh, there you go.
And we want a toned uterus.
Yes.
So it's actually working out your uterus to prepare you for labor.
And you're not going to poke the baby's head with the...
Well, you will poke the baby's head.
Oh, you will?
Oh, yeah.
Well, I thought that was an urban myth.
Really?
I mean,
no, but not directly. Yeah, it's like,
Why does your kid have an indented head? I had a lot of sex in my last
I know. I mean, like, it's on the other side of a cervix, so it makes sense. But like, you're not literally poking the eye out or anything.
no, I mean,
the kid has a really flat head. You know why your parents were doing?
But it's okay it's okay. They're protected in a bubble.
Yeah, they're okay.
Okay. Yeah, so it's totally fine.
I mean, have you ever heard of a story of sex actually hurting the pregnancy? Like pleasurable connected sex being a problem?
I've never heard of it being a problem.
There you go, everyone. Bang it out.
Never heard of it being a problem.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's what I assumed. What about, okay, so I know that that sex can induce labor. Is that sex or is that the orgasm?
Oh yeah, good question.
Oh, it's both.
So it's okay. So it's like if you knew that your due date was coming up, is it a time to have a lot of sex?
I think you should have a lot of sex
All the
whenever
time?
you feel like it during your pregnancy, like all the time. But if your due date is coming up, I mean, first of all, due dates are not expiration dates. You can go 42 weeks plus or minus. In the state of California, the laws are a little bit different with when they want to induce you. But certainly if you're approaching 42 weeks and you want to get this baby moving, go get down in the bedroom with your partner and have some orgasms with ejaculation in your yoni.
Nice.
And I was going to say cum.
You
Can I
can
say
say cum
cum? I
on
can
here.
say cum.
You can say whatever you want. This is uncensored.
So the semen or the cum,
Yeah.
it contains prostaglandins, which are hormonal precursors, which help soften and efface the cervix. So the cervix is the entrance of the womb, the uterus. And normally it's really firm, like the tip of your nose. Everyone, you guys know what your cervix feels like.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
maybe the
That
listeners don't.
cracks me
Yeah.
up.
So that's, and so
Yeah.
it softens like and becomes like your lobe of your ear.
Like your lips.
Oh, like your
so
lips.
it starts to feel more like your lips, and it gets thinner and thinner and thinner as you get closer to labor. Yeah.
And then you start
so
dilating,
semen
right?
helps with that thinning.
Yeah, so the semen helps with the thinning and the softening and the opening of the cervix, which then helps the baby drop down into the pelvis more. Everything gets all soft and ready.
Oh my god! All the penis owners are like, yes.
I did that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah. That and then also just an excuse to ejaculate inside. Yes.
Well, exactly. And they should do it all the time during pregnancy too, because the oxytocin and the prolactin, those hormones make you feel relaxed and calm and happy and bonded and connected. And those are things we want when we're preparing to become parents
Absolutely.
in a partnership.
I would imagine the absence of that, of not having that, would be, because you're saying it gives you all those things, especially with the connection piece, could I mean, I wouldn't say detrimental, but could greatly affect the connection. I mean, it sounds like it's all a really important part of the process. God, see, sex does really wonderful things.
Well, we're one of the only species that uses it to bond with our mate.
No bonobos.
Besides bonobos. That's one of the only species.
Got it. Yes.
So I was unfamiliar with this before, before you're going to tell me, but about orgasmic birth. So I watched the video, we watched it together, and that is considered an orgasmic birth. But can you tell us what is an orgasmic birth? What is that? It's just like a beautiful birth where there's no pain?
Oh, there's pain.
Okay. Damn it.
Pain
I was
can
like,
be
I want one of those
pleasure.
births.
I mean, there's been lots of books written on it, and there's all sorts of stuff on the internet about what an orgasmic birth is. Have you seen the video of orgasmic birth? There's this woman in a tub and she's having an orgasm. Her name's Amber Hartnell.
No.
I actually met her once at a festival, and she gave me this hug, and it was just so juicy and wonderful. And that's just how she lives her life. So it would make sense that she births that way. And when I was in labor, I was pissed off. I was like, this is not orgasmic. This feels like shit. I'm pissed. I was angry. Oh my God. But it just means accepting whatever sensation is coming to you and softening into it and surrendering into it. And when you do that, it transmutes the pain. So you kind of go beyond the pain. I mean, for me, my favorite part of my birth was the crowning, because it was just such an insane feeling. I was just dumbfounded. I was like, what's going on? That's interesting feeling.
Yeah. I've never felt this before.
Yeah. And, there's so many nerve endings in the yoni. When the baby's head is like fully expanding that area, it can be blissful. It can be. I mean, some people are into fisting,
Yeah,
I mean, that's a pretty intense experience. And so certainly you can get pleasure from birthing your baby as well.
Right.
Well, and pain and pleasure, I think they're working on the same nerve receptors, right? So it's pretty easy for them to, for you to turn pain into pleasure and vice versa.
Coincide with one another.
Yeah, and it's a lot of it has to do with how you approach it, how you actually experience or think about the experience too. And if you're going into it like, this is pleasure, and like you said, surrender. I mean, that sounds like a big piece.
Surrender,
Yeah.
softening, accepting, saying yes,
Go
giving
with your body and what you're feeling.
Yeah, yeah. Don't fight it.
If you're angry, just scream. Did you scream a lot? And
Oh
curse
yeah,
people?
I didn't curse people,
okay.
but I was like pretty moaning. I was very loud.
Yeah.
Did you have a home birth? Or did you hospital birth? Or?
I had a home birth, and
nice.
I transferred to the hospital for a non-emergency reason. And I actually had a really traumatic hospital birth with a lot of trauma. And that's why I also became an advocate and a birth activist, because there's a huge part of this work that I do that has to do with overcoming trauma, and it's called obstetrical violence and birth rape, and this is going on in hospitals right now with women giving birth where they don't know what their rights are and they're being infringed upon. And so I became a birth activist after having my daughter, in addition to that.
I totally want to add to that. One of my other best girl has had a baby about 6 months ago. And she was like set on home birthing and ended up having some complications, nothing super extreme, but her water kind of broke. And anyway, she ended up in the hospital. It was like the last thing that she wanted. But the funny thing is that the Western doctors, and for folks out there, this is, all of, I'm just reiterating the experiences that she had, and I'm not trying to form an opinion about anything. If you like hospital births, go for it. If you don't, do what's good for you. But things that she didn't realize is that the doctors will just do things, it's protocol, without asking sometimes. And you have to know your rights as a female, as a soon-to-be mother, because they will just do things or insist upon things because it's the norm and it's easy, because they want you in and out. They don't want you to be held up for 9 days. So she had to flex and ended up being in the hospital for like 7 days. And they want to induce because, it was, she was going to be premature about a month early. And so I don't know, it was all of these things. So I just want to say that no judgment, but knowing hospital rights, this is something so, I think, important for people to know. And I thought that when she was in the hospital, I was like, what? I didn't know that. I didn't know they would just do that without asking. So, wow. I'm happy that you talked about that because I forgot.
Yeah.
That's so fucked up.
It's a huge thing. It's so political.
It is political.
It's so political. And, I'm happy that hospitals exist and that Western medicine exists, especially as a student midwife, seeing all the stuff that can go wrong and knowing all the stuff that can go wrong. But why not work with prevention and prevent that stuff from happening in the first place and educate women when they're younger and empower them so that they can make choices. And not everyone has to have a home birth, but at least if you're choosing to have a hospital birth, you can go into it knowing what your rights are and be supported by people that you choose, like a doula or your partner or
and
your provider.
Can you be a resource for our listeners out there that don't have access to maybe someone that has this information? Because I feel like that's really important. Can they contact you?
This is her coaching gig.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's because that's
exactly.
I would do that in a heartbeat if I was pregnant right now or thinking about getting pregnant, because I want to know my rights as a human and what the steps of what you should just not do or try to avoid until you have to, until it really is life or death.
It was really dynamic and complex too.
So,
I mean, and I know. So yeah, I mean, I know that sometimes there's like certain hospitals that are known to be better than other ones. But I mean, even in there, still, I'm sure things still happen, right? So there's just so much.
Isn't there a movie, The Business of Birthing?
Yeah, it's called The Business of Being Born.
Oh, Business of Being Born.
And it's a great gateway movie
to
women who are wanting to learn more about birth and their rights and the hospital industrial system.
That's what it's called. Oh my God, it totally is. Well, they're businesses.
It's a business.
They're for profit. So we don't live in a socialist society.
Just like prisons and hospitals
for profit.
There
you go.
Yeah,
turn and burn them.
And that being said, I've also seen beautiful hospital births attended by doulas and midwives and even obstetricians who are really supportive of women owning their experience. And I have seen beautiful orgasmic looking hospital birth videos on YouTube. So it is possible. It just comes down to the woman being self-directed and knowing that she wants that experience for herself.
Right.
Well, and I would imagine that having a doula or midwife there in the hospital, that's probably helpful for like the woman who is giving birth. She might not be able to make all the decisions right in that moment, right? So having someone else that can speak for her and advocate for her who's not the one in labor is probably really helpful.
Good midwife. Yeah.
Or in a doula.
Yeah, in a doula. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's tricky though, the language, because the doulas, we can't really tell the provider what to do.
So can you just whisper in the woman's ear?
We whisper in the woman's ear, or we whisper in the partner's ear, or, we do a lot of informational, educational, background before we even go into the hospital, working with the couple and really educating them on how to go about getting their needs met. So that if the doctor's picking up some scissors to cut an episiotomy, the partner knows to go, oh hey, we don't want that.
That's when they cut the area that I learned this because a lot of my friends had kids and there was a book at my friend's house and I was like, oh my God, it's like the most commonly it's the most commonly done procedure that isn't necessary because it's so they cut. What is the area? It's not
the perineum.
It is the perineum. Yes,
it's the perineum,
like,
and it's called an episiotomy.
Body.
But this midwife, she wrote this textbook, Anne Fry. It's like the textbook for all the midwives. She calls it a clitorotomy or a clitorectomy because it's actually cutting through the nerve endings of the clitoris because, it extends down.
Right, like a wishbone.
So it actually
affects
cuts
the
off
clitoris.
God.
No episiotomy.
No
needed.
episiotomy.
Your body, and my friend as well, and I'm sorry to get a little off topic, she also said like humans will grow the baby that they are able to have. A lot of times like if you're a smaller human, you'll probably grow a smaller human. Larger humans will grow larger humans, but your body will be able to process this baby typically. So it can come out of you.
Exactly.
Which is why C-sections, unless there's complications.
Yeah, and I want to speak to that because that's something I'm super passionate about is positioning of the baby. So most of the time they say the baby's head is too big. That's like 1% of all cases where the head is actually in disproportion to the bony pelvis and can't fit through. Most of the time it is a positional issue where the baby's head isn't tucked down all the way, so the diameter of the skull that's fitting through isn't really like lining up. So that all comes down to your lifestyle when you're pregnant. How active are you? Are your muscles all balanced? How healthy is your pelvic floor? Is it dynamic? Is it responsive? Is it moving with you? Because all those things are a factor towards having the baby fit right down in there.
Interesting.
Yeah, so in those cases they would have just gone C-section, and when they were like, the head's too big and you can't fit through here, so we're going to cut you open instead. And or is that when they do the episiotomy thing?
Episiotomies, I think usually if the baby's like breech, I believe they do the C-sections a lot. Or if there's like high risk pregnancies.
It depends on where you live.
Okay.
So in California, most of the time, if the baby is breech, which means that the butt is down, not the head, the practitioners are losing the art of skilled vaginal breech birth. So they'll just go straight to a C-section because it's less liability for them. They can just be like, we're just going to do that instead. Yeah, but in Oregon, for example, midwives can deliver or catch. I don't like to say deliver, because pizzas are delivered and babies are born, but I still catch myself doing it. But language is so important in transforming this paradigm of birth. So when the babies are born, that's what I meant to say.
They're birthed like a ship, like a vessel.
Yeah, right? The woman births the baby. The doctor doesn't deliver the baby. The woman births the baby.
Oh my God,
and that's what it's all about.
That's interesting that they made it about the doctor.
Yeah. They even made that bed about the doctor with the stirrups and that
was all male doctors back in when that was happening.
A tampon was invented by a man.
Everything is named after a man. The G-spot,
the Bartholin's gland, Skeen's gland, all dudes.
What about the A-spot?
The only thing named after a woman is the Gaskin Maneuver.
What's that?
Ina May Gaskin. She's this old school midwife, and it's this maneuver to resolve a shoulder dystocia, which is a complication where the shoulders kind of get a little sticky and stuck. But that's the only one that I know of named after a woman.
Jeez, let's change that.
Let's
give it all new names.
Taking back
I'm
birth.
Call my G-spot the
sacred spot.
Sacred. There you go. Yeah,
that's what we call it.
I know that some women come up with that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about sexual trauma and shame and how it affects pregnancy and birth, because I know we are a shameless sex podcast. So whether it's previous sexual trauma or shame, or maybe you're talking about the stuff that actually comes from an actual birthing process, what are your thoughts on that and how it affects everything?
It affects everything. Those are my thoughts on that. Yeah. And ideally, we're going to work on it prenatally or before you even get pregnant, so that it's not a huge mountain to climb over while you're pregnant. But if I am working with a woman in the past who has sexual abuse in their history, I encourage them to really reach out to all the resources that are available while they're pregnant to resolve it. And EMDR can be really helpful. Somatic therapy, anything that moves the body, because the trauma gets stuck in the body and then it comes out during the birth, and it can come in the form of a woman not being able to release and let go. and they just stay at like a 3 centimeters for days and days and days.
Oh, I didn't think about that. That would affect. Yeah, of course, that makes perfect sense. Like the tightness of having sexual trauma in this part of your body, just kind of like clamping down, would totally affect birthing. I didn't think.
Yeah, and birthing is sexual. I mean, you know, a woman is in active labor when she rips off all her clothes and she's naked and she's roaring around the room. So in order to have a physiological birth, which is what people call a natural birth, you've got to be comfortable being naked in front of people.
Yeah.
It's very vulnerable.
And it's very vulnerable. And, you know, vulnerability is a really great thing during labor. But you have to be able to get there and feel safe. And so it's very triggering. You know, for example, if someone's coming in to check, I'm doing quotations, air quotations, check your cervix during labor, and you have a history of sexual abuse or trauma, and they're not asking permission.
Oh, yeah.
And they're just coming in like, I'm going to check you now. I mean, it's a vaginal exam. It's very intrusive.
Yes.
So you got to know your rights and have someone to really advocate for you, especially if you're in a setting that's not a midwifery model of care. And as midwives, we're with women. It's a one-to-one relationship. There's trust that's built that entire pregnancy. And so by the time they go into labor, it's like we're sisters, or we have this very tight bond, you know, and there's trust there. But when you go into the hospital, not to say that you can't have that. It's just most of the time there's an on-call schedule.
It's clinical. You don't know who you're going to get.
And it's clinical. And the nurses are on rotation. And yeah, they're so sweet. There's so many amazing care providers, especially in this town. I want to shout out to, you know, the nurses at Sutter, and they're wonderful. But there still is room for improvement when it comes to asking for consent. Like, consent still applies to birth.
Yeah. Yeah. It doesn't get thrown out the window.
We have a friend that is working in the labor and delivery, right?
Yeah.
We should talk about consent with her.
Bakersfield,
yeah.
And it's highly traumatizing.
Yeah, she has a lot of very interesting experiences.
She doesn't have a lot of wonderful stories to share, that's for sure. But it's more so about the demographic that the hospital is working with. There's a lot of drug addiction and things that are happening there, and it's just affecting the birthing process, obviously. So yeah, I mean, I like what you said, that I can't believe I didn't even think about that, though, that, you know, if you have trauma and shame before you go into birthing process, that's something to work on with someone. Really important to not just dive right into something that could potentially add more trauma to, you know, just more scary stuff on your body.
So that's important. If maybe there's a listener out there right now that isn't pregnant, or that is, or planning on being pregnant later, that has sexual trauma, and it's important to go in and seek some assistance from a licensed professional and take care of that, because that is a beautiful point that even Amy didn't think of, which
no.
I like when you get stumped.
I don't do a lot of work around pregnancy. I'm like,
true.
Oh, pregnancy?
Here's Ashley's number.
I will send you to Ashley.
Yeah, send them to me.
Yeah, send them to Ashley. She'll take care of this.
So, shifting topics a little bit in a playful way, nipples.
Let's talk about the nipples.
Because there's always people
Just
always
grab
talk
my
about
nipple.
It. Yeah,
You said that.
You had to touch them.
So I call it the dark skin sometimes, because it is my dark skin.
You call your nipples the dark skin?
Yeah.
Like the dark side? But it's like, is that a Star Wars
It's like the
reference?
dark meat in chicken, when you get the white meat or the dark meat.
Will you touch the dark skin, please?
Yeah, can I have the dark skin?
Speaking of, nipples change a lot when you're pregnant.
Oh, do they?
They turn super dark.
Do they get really hairy?
It depends on the person.
I didn't know hair was a thing.
Yeah, I think some
They
of my
get
friends
dark.
told me.
The areolas, everything kind of gets bigger.
They get
right?
really dark, so
Okay.
they can be like a bullseye. So when the baby comes out, they see contrast really well, and
Oh,
they
no
can
way.
locate the nipple so that they can breastfeed and survive.
That's
Does it
so
stay
cool.
dark forever?
They fade, unfortunately. I really liked mine, but
Dark nipples?
yeah.
Well,
I could go for
I
some
feel like
dark
mine
nipples.
are getting darker, but because I've been laying out topless a lot, so
That's
maybe
why it's the
they're
same.
getting tan nipples. So does nipple stimulation play into birthing? Does it play into all of it? Can you actually trigger the labor with? I mean, tell us about nipples.
Nipples are magical.
Areolas.
Areolas. Yeah, nipples are magical. So when you stimulate the nipples, it stimulates the uterus. And I don't know if you guys have this experience during sex, but I personally really like nipple stimulation. It kind of sends me over the edge. The same thing happens when you stimulate a woman's nipples who's pregnant, and she can do it herself, or her partner can do it, or she can ask someone like a friend. I don't know.
Yeah. Can you fluff me, please? Can you please?
But it
come over and
gets
fluff me.
the-
I fluff you, Chip.
It's just nibbles.
Yeah, it's just
You tell
nipples.
me.
So it's not going to send you into labor if you're not already in labor. So it's totally safe to do nipple play when you're pregnant. If that's your thing, go for it. But when you're in labor, if your contractions are kind of dying down and things are spacing out and you're getting tired and you want to just kind of get things going, or if your obstetrician or your midwife is like, oh, I don't know, maybe we should go start some Pitocin and augment the labor to get it going, you can do nipple stimulation either with a breast pump or just manually, and it will stimulate contractions.
Vibrator.
That's a great topic.
Yes.
So on the nipples, or just
Well,
don't?
not on the nipples.
But for nursing too, doesn't vibration really help stimulate? And you can tell me if I'm wrong, but I've told my friend this that had a baby, and she swears that it helped her nurse.
A vibrator on the breast?
You put like the Leia spot by Fun Factory. Have you ever seen that? Because it's kind of cupped.
I've never heard of that before.
So she said it helps because we had done some research when I worked with Fun Factory on this whole topic, and I obviously can't attest to it because I'm not a pregnant woman. But my friend is like, I will write you a fucking testimonial that shit saved my nursing of my son. And now she uses it again, and she gives it to all of her friends that are having babies. She's like, this will save your nursing experience. So maybe also I could give you one if I had one.
Well,
I have a gently used version. I'm just kidding.
You're essentially saying is breast massage helps to produce milk.
Breast massage, it probably helps with the letdown. So letdown is when your breasts actually release the milk.
Okay.
So it might help like relax everything in there. I know that heat definitely helps.
Okay.
And just having your baby suck on them constantly helps
So
too.
maybe we should design a vibrator that's hot and sorry.
It probably jiggles everything around because you know there is this lactation technique. If the milk is kind of stuck in there, you jiggle your boob
So the
and lean
vibration
over.
could really
so
help.
maybe you're onto something.
Well, my friend
With your-
swears by it. She lives in Austin. She listens to the podcast. I'm gonna tell her to write that
How sweet
testimonial.
that you just like clip two things, just hang out,
And it feels good. Yeah.
Well, someone needs to invent like a pleasurable breast pump because they're horrible. They're like these robotic torture
I know,
devices.
they look really
and they're
weird.
so
Torture
loud.
devices.
Maybe you should invent a really nice, like heated,
Okay.
vibrating breast pump that
That's
doesn't sound like
Vibrating
a
heated
robot.
breast pump that actually does sound quite like a vacation for your nipples.
Yes,
and
like
then
a nipple spa.
And then all the
I like that.
fetish folks would like to use
Yes,
it too.
exactly.
yeah, exactly.
Not even for people who just have babies.
Yeah.
I just had a realization. This is going to be a vulnerable share. So everyone knows I had an abortion. Not everyone. If you just tuned in, you just found out, but it was a while ago. And okay, interesting. Before I had this abortion, I got pregnant on the IUD. Everyone, I had birth control. But before that, I was not a nipple person for most of my life. And then a year before I got pregnant on accident, someone in a somatica exercise was touching my nipples, like around the areola over my clothes, and it totally activated them because I think it was just a matter of like the person was like this woman that was sitting on top of me, and also my clothes was there, so it made it so that it wasn't overstimulating, which is what it's been my whole life. And all of a sudden my nipples were activated. So then I was like, wow, I have 3 clits. I have 2 nipples and a clit. And so when my nipples would be touched for like a year and a half, it would feel amazing. But when I had the abortion, it went away. They turned off. And that's interesting what you said about that it's connected to the uterus because the abortion was highly traumatic for my uterus. And so, I mean, the whole process was just like, it's not a fun one. And so that's like a total aha moment of like, oh, I'm totally working on getting them back, but it's been a journey. I'm like, I want that back. So yeah, I think part of it is, I always thought it was just like re-stimulating the nipples to get it back, but I think part of that is also healing the trauma in the uterus.
the womb.
Yeah.
Healing the womb. It's all connected.
Yeah. I just had a light bulb go off.
Yeah.
You got 2 now. 2 light bulbs.
I'm learning so much. I'm not even pregnant.
Yeah. And I had an opposite experience. Like I had no sensation before I had my daughter, and now after it's like, 3 clits.
Yeah, nipples are alive.
I don't have a lot of
they're
nipple
alive.
sensation. I want to, but it just doesn't do a lot
Get
for
your
me.
pregnant chip.
Yeah, I'll get right on that. So we spoke a lot about obviously sex during pregnancy, but then there's the after pregnancy scenario, which is hard for so many people. And you're a mom, so you can definitely probably talk about this in depth. I know from my friends that obviously have kids, like sleeping schedules and all of it make things complicated, but your body's changing. And I don't know, what does it look like? Like what should people know?
People should know to go very slow and lube up a lot. That's the short and sweet advice.
Yeah, that's what we talk about all the time. Slow.
Slow.
Uber lube.
But some other advice, it might sound a little pessimistic, but just accept that it's going to be different for about 2 to 3 years.
Yeah.
Until your child is a little bit more independent and old enough. So finding other ways to be intimate. Sex toys.
Not penetrative sex.
Non-penetrative sex. Cuddling. Deep conversations. Walks on the beach. I mean, there's so many other ways to be intimate besides penetrative sex.
Totally.
And especially if you've had a traumatic birth that possibly has some scar tissue, either from a C-section or from having a tear or from having an episiotomy, there's going to need to be some healing in that area, both, energetically and physically. So introducing things like yoni massage, where the partner, the pregnant partner is giving the postpartum partner a massage that doesn't have any expectation of penetrative sex. In the end, that can be really healing for people. Because I think a lot of the time when you're a mom, you have so many expectations on you. Like, you have to give all your time and attention and love to this baby and to your partner and keep your house clean and have your job and all these things. So the last thing that you want is your partner hounding you for sex when you're in the kitchen washing dishes at the end of the day.
Yeah.
So just give to the woman,
and that's
give
like
to her.
Such just a shout out to all the mothers out there. I have a mad respect, especially working moms, but I know non-working moms too. I have the largest job of anyone. Like, when you have the stay-at-home moms or dads or whoever, like, that's the toughest job you'll ever do, and you don't get paid, you don't get rewarded, and no one's telling you good job, you're amazing. You just have a little fucker screaming at you being like,
April's perspective.
Yeah, I mean, it is, but I'm saying,
it's
like,
the truth.
Yeah.
But it is
so the truth.
And I just have mad respect. So shout out to all of you mothers out there. Ashley, to you as well. Way to
Thank
be.
you.
And it's often not looked at. I think I have heard that there's like this resentment that happens when, so there's two partners. There's the one that had the baby and the other one who did not. And the other one is working and going to work, and they have to work from, 8 to 5, and they come home. And then the other one that had the baby, had a long fucking day too. But for some reason, the other person that actually has the day job thinks that they're the only ones working. And
exactly.
So this happens often. There's like this thing,
It
missing
is
link.
so common. That's the thing. And I think there's just, for one, it's a huge societal issue. We don't live in tribes anymore. We live in these nuclear families, and there's so much expectation on partners to be everything for each other. So that's a whole nother conversation. But just asking for help, arranging for help, paying for help, getting family to help. We need all the help we can get.
Yeah.
After having babies.
Yeah.
Hire yourself a cleaning lady, you moms at home.
Maybe it's not lady.
I know, sorry, cleaning person.
Cleaning
I was just
person.
referring to my person, who actually, it's her and her husband. They do a great job.
Cleaning people.
Cleaning folks.
Cleaning folks.
Yes, hire a cleaning person and go out on a date.
Yeah, go out
on a
dates.
date.
That's what we
once
said.
a week.
We've had those questions. You probably have heard people who say, what about for sex when after you have a baby? How do we find time? And so we're like, can you hire a babysitter, even if it's just for like 2 hours, or if you can't afford that,
you go
find
to the tea
someone.
house.
Yeah, just find someone to watch. Yeah, your child for.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people have a hard time leaving their baby too.
Well, there's
yeah.
care.com
It's
though
hard.
that does full background checks.
Yep.
And they're actually, you get referrals, you can meet the people and kind of interview them. They have different price ranges of what you get. Some people will actually clean for you. Some people will do your laundry while you're out and about at movie night. So there's options. This day and age, I feel like it would probably be the best, rather than when I was babysitting at 11. Y'all trusted me with your kids at 11. I did a great job though. But I'm just saying, like, there are options, and you can find, your 90-year-old nanny or your 16-year-old babysitter, whatever you need.
Get a nanny.
Yeah.
Or ask family. My sister just had a baby. She has a 7-week-old baby, and she gave her baby to my mom and went away for the whole weekend with her husband.
Wow.
And I was like, how could you do that?
Yeah, it's a long time.
But she had a great time.
Yeah.
And I wish I probably would have done that when I was married and new mom, it would have helped.
Self-care stuff.
Yes, self-care
right?
stuff.
Because it is really, you're a human being. You need to focus on the things that help you feel alive. So,
well, and that's the thing too. If the parents are depleted, then that's how they're going to show up for their child rearing, right? They're going to show up in that way. So it's important for the parents, and of course they're still going to be depleted because they have a baby. Yeah. But it's important for them to do whatever they can to, in my opinion, for them to stay in their healthiest capacity possible. And also, I like the theory that I've heard, not theory, but idea concept of, because a lot of times what happens is when they have a child, one or both of them all of a sudden make the child a priority, not the relationship. Mm-hmm. And of course, you can be a single parent too. I'm not saying that parenting has to happen in, two people. And I think that if you are in a partnership, to put that equal as, raising the child and the connection between the parents so that you can, again, because that would just help your ability to show up for your kid.
Exactly.
So it's just not how people operate, though.
Yeah.
No, people don't operate that way.
Modern day society.
I know.
Well, so what are your top tips for new parents? So you name some things here too, but if they're having a hard time finding time for sex and intimacy, like what do you have anything else other than we'll find a babysitter or have someone to help and step in? But are there any other secrets or tricks that you know of that we don't know?
Learn how to do a cartwheel. No.
Put a show on the iPad and go in the shower.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah,
that always works. Shower sex.
Yeah.
I mean, the bathroom is generally a private place. And kids understand that. Some of them understand anyways.
Yeah.
And also just, aside from being in the partnership, just a woman finding her sexuality again, do things for you, find something that really fills you up, because sexual energy is creative energy. It's the same exact thing. So for me, I was so depleted by the time my daughter was 2.5. I had no energy to do anything. And then I started listening to audiobooks, and it was the one thing I had for myself was to listen to books, because I couldn't read because I'd get interrupted and I had to be doing the dishes or whatever. So find something for you that fills you up. And then eventually it'll come back, because the more you access that sexual creative energy, the more that you have to give. And we need women that are fully filled up so they can give and they can create amazing humans on the planet, because that's what we need, is humans that have a full capacity to love and be bonded and communicate. Yeah. And
last question here that I have on that same topic, or similar topic that you said about after when women actually lose their sexual essence because they go into mommy mode, and then they also had this experience where a lot of times when they're pregnant they kind of turn off sexuality at times. This isn't everyone, but this does happen. Do you have any good tips for people to regain that, to come back into their ultimate sexual selves?
Oh yeah.
That's juicy.
Oh yeah. So this is actually a really great question. So last night I was at this party and all my friends were there, and a lot of them are moms, and I'm just looking around at all these beautiful embodied women, and I'm like, this is what I want everyone to feel like. They all have kids, young kids, and a lot of them are into dance and embodied movement practices, so that's not the norm though. So I would recommend doing something dance, the S Factor.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I'm just gonna Steel and Grace Pole Studio in Santa Cruz. Go see Elise. Oh my goodness, she's amazing. Pole dancing in your classes, body. Yeah. Yoga classes. If you're just feeling you're not really ready to go there yet, just move your body. Find something that feels good to you. Yeah,
that's really good advice.
I think that is the thing. The biggest thing is that when, at least in my experience, when my sexual essence gets turned down, it's because I kind of leave my body and go in my head. And that's probably part of that process that's happening to women, is there becomes a disconnect. There's my body doing one thing, my head doing another, and I'm going to disconnect from this part because there's a lot going on there. It's really intense. And then especially through pregnancy, which April and I have been really careful to call it a trauma on the body, but it is can be a traumatic process for a lot of people.
Oh, it's a big deal. It is a trauma on the body. It's a being exiting your yoni vagina. It's
probably, geez.
I mean, I can't even imagine just even watching the videos. I'm like, holy shit, our body can do that? Yeah. It's amazing. P.S. Growing a human inside of your body and birthing this thing. I mean, there's nothing, in my opinion, that humans can do that is more
Yes,
incredible than that.
Exactly. And like,
Really.
look at that as an empowering experience. Like, your body did that. Your vagina got so big that a baby came out of it, you know. And men, you know, they like to brag about their dick size. Women, be proud of how much you opened.
Oh
Yeah.
And then got smaller.
Yeah.
Because it goes back. It
Yeah.
goes back.
Exactly.
And go to a pelvic floor physical therapist
Yeah.
if you need it, because
And we did an episode with
I know,
Sarah
I
too.
listened to it.
I
So
think she
go to
just
Sarah.
had a baby.
She did just
second
have a
baby.
baby.
Yeah. So shout out to you, Sarah, if you're at home listening to this, nursing right now.
Yeah.
We can hear your breast pump.
Yeah. But we're trying to design a better one for you.
Yeah, we are. We're cute.
And we have some audio clips too of birthing. Do we not have that? I can edit this part out if we don't.
I mean, I have them, but I wanted to compare them to orgasm noises, and I couldn't find them.
Okay.
So maybe you could play them like after and just edit it together to compare them back and forth, because I just wanted to make a point that birthing noises and sex noises are really similar.
Oh, there you go.
There's audio clips. There's
Yeah.
going to be birthing, and there's audio clips that are going to be sex,
Mhm.
and then we're going to compare them.
Yeah, like
And-
play like
And
6 of
maybe
them,
we could
like,
do
back and forth.
a quiz.
Like, what's
which
what?
one is which?
Ooh,
Like
that
you could
sounds
quiz
fun.
her. Like, you could
Yeah.
play them and then ask
That'd
her.
actually be really fun.
That would be really fun.
That sounds like a good time.
I put my labor clips in there too.
Oh, awesome.
sweet. Just give me-
Yeah.
be
Okay,
like,
we're gonna
which
play
one
with
is
these.
Ashley?
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to play with these. Okay. I
So-
like this idea.
This was awesome. But we're not done yet, because I know that listeners out there are going to be pumped up and probably want to work with you. So how can they? And do you have any upcoming workshops, events happening? Please share.
I do. I would love to work with all of you out there if you want to.
Consensually.
You want to.
Consensually. So yeah, I have a retreat for moms coming up. It is just a day-long retreat, and it's on August 4th, and it's from 10 in the morning to 7 at night. So it fits nicely in any new mom's schedule. You don't have to commit to overnight. And I teach a pelvic floor and core modality that I call Radiant Core, and it works with embodiment and your breath and just retraining yourself how to connect with your pelvic floor, especially after having a baby. For moms, that's a big thing. So we're going to be doing that and hanging out at this beautiful mountain retreat center by the pool.
Ooh,
And taking
nice.
yoga classes, and it's going to be great. And I also have coaching packages that I offer, so you can check out my website for more on that.
Is all of this information on your website?
It's all on my website.
Perfect. And
Yeah.
people can sign up for the workshop on your website.
Mhm.
And it's August 4th.
It's August 4th,
Perfect. So,
it's
you're getting
coming
enough
up.
time out there.
And the
people.
website's ashleysshakti.com.
ashleysshakti.com.
And I think you mentioned there aren't a lot of spots available. So if you're if you're listening to this podcast and you're interested, sign up for Ashley's workshop.
And you do coaching with people online too, or just in person?
I do it online
Oh, perfect.
mostly.
Anyone.
I do it
Awesome.
online, so anyone can contact me. I also do birth consulting. So April, like you said, you were wanting to know if I could be a resource. Absolutely. They can go to my website, they can email me, and I can do consultations for people who are wanting to know more about their options.
Dude, that's so important for people that want to do home births or want to do a hospital birth but don't know their rights. I honestly think that really it really tugs at my heart course, because information, the power of information. The folks that are listening to this podcast obviously want information. So knowledge is power, folks.
Because knowledge is power.
That's
It
right. So anything else you want to add?
I think that's
Ms.
it. I learned
Baldwin?
so many things. I mean, I even got 2 light bulbs, and I don't even have a child.
I got a couple of light bulbs too. Ding, ding, ding. They're the Edison style bulbs. They're
Old school.
so Ashley.
Long lasting.
It was wonderful meeting you.
Yeah.
thank you.
I'm
Such
so
a
happy
pleasure.
to meet you finally.
I know you and Amy had already had some experience with each other, right, from before, and I was like, who's Ashley? She sounds great. I checked out your website. I was like, oh, she's beautiful. I love the work she's doing. So
Oh,
Thank
thank you.
Yeah, you should go look. We're going to have some. There's a photo of you that's actually of you naked. Just
I have
saying.
some naked
Look
photos.
at that one. Okay, that's gonna go. So go to Pure Pleasures. Not Pure Pleasure. Wrong shop. Go to Shameless Sex's Instagram, and you can see some photos of Ashley. We're not saying just for her nakedness, but she's gorgeous.
And lastly, if you want to check out all of Ashley's information she just gave, or want to take her workshop, go to ashleysshakti.com, and it is how do you spell it?
ASHLEYSHAKTI.com.
Thank you. Shakti, the tongue twister. All right,
Yes,
y'all.
it is.
We hope you enjoyed the show today. We heart and love each and every one of you. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next Tuesday, y'all. Ciao for now.
Don't forget to head on over to our website at shamelesssex.com for more. And for 15% off of some of our favorite sex toys, use coupon code SHAMELESSPP in all caps at purepleasureshop.com.